That's right. The whistleblower's complaint has accused the president of soliciting foreign interference in America's election, which is really bad for Trump. What's even worse is that this entire complaint is only 9 pages long, which means people might actually read it. Hell, if it had a few pictures, Trump himself might even read it. Because you guys don't remember, but that was one of the big problems with Robert Mueller's report. It was like 500 pages. Nobody wants to read 500 pages. You could give me the secret to eternal life, but if it was 500 pages long, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just die. It's fine. Yeah, just bury me in a gold coffin. I'm fine. Now, this document reiterates a lot of the things we already saw in the transcript of the Trump-Ukraine phone call. But it also goes beyond that. Like, you know how Trump and his allies keep saying there was no pressure to Ukraine, there's no pressure on them to investigate Biden? Well, the whistleblower's complaint says differently.
There was an understanding with Ukrainian officials that to get a meeting with President Trump, they had to play by some ground rules. And those ground rules dealt with having to talk about the Biden investigation. When you go to the whistleblower complaint, it says multiple U.S. officials told me the Ukrainian leadership was led to believe that a meeting or a phone call between the president and President Zelensky would depend on whether Zelensky showed willingness to, quote, play ball, George.
That's right. According to the whistleblower, Trump refused to even speak with Ukraine unless they agreed to play ball and investigate Joe Biden. And this must have been confusing, right? Because to Ukraine, play ball means soccer. But to Trump, play ball means chasing the meatball that fell out of his sub. I'll get you, meatball. I ate your family. I'm coming for you. Now, Trump and his defenders are saying that the whistleblower's account is fake. All right, because they say that the whistleblower is basing all of this on secondhand information. He didn't hear the calls and he hasn't seen anything himself. They also point out that the president of Ukraine himself said yesterday that he never felt any pressure from Trump. Although, if you actually watched the Ukrainian president say it, you might come up with a different impression.
President Zelensky, have you felt any pressure from President Trump to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden?
I think you read everything. So I think you read text. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be involved to democratic, open elections of USA. No, you heard that we had, I think, good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things, and so I think, and you read it, that nobody pushed me. Yes.
In other words, no pressure.
Okay, I don't want to contradict the president, but I don't think the translation of that was no pressure. That man seemed like he was under intense pressure. I mean, he actually said the line, I don't want to get involved. I mean, that's not a comfortable phrase you ever say when you're just comfortable. How are you feeling? I don't want to get involved. I'm so comfortable. You can't ask him that question in front of Trump. It's like asking the hostage how he's being treated while the kidnapper is right next to him. Oh, how are they treating me? Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, last night they even gave me toilet paper. I love it here. Can't ask him in front of Trump, man. So, the whistleblower's complaint accuses Trump of pressuring the Ukrainians, while Trump and his people say they did nothing wrong and that the call he made to Ukraine was completely fine. In fact, Trump himself said it was perfect, completely fine, the most perfect call ever made of all time. But here's the thing. If there was nothing shady about that call, then why did the White House staff work so hard to make sure that it never saw the light of day?
This whistleblower was hearing from people inside the White House. These White House officials told me this information were deeply disturbed by what had transpired in the phone call. And then he details how there was an effort to lock down the phone call, to make it sure that only a very limited number of people would have access to it. So they put it on a separate, basically a separate server.
Yeah, they took it outside the normal channels and put it into a channel that is normally reserved for highly classified,
the most highly classified information.
You see, now that's hella suspicious. Because if the call was so perfect, why did Trump's people want to get rid of it immediately? That's something you only do when you're trying to hide shady shit. Like if you came home from school and your parents told you that grandpa died of natural causes, and we threw his body in the river, you would have some follow-up questions. You'd be like, wait, why'd you throw it away? It was natural. We're just like, Grandpa needs to go now, like right now, right now. So basically, White House officials heard the phone call and then moved the record of it from its normal computer to a more private server so that nobody would see it. And yes, this is a new scandal about a private server. Hashtag Throwback Thursday. It really is interesting. Wouldn't it be nice if this was the meet cute that brought Trump and Hillary together, you know? Like he just calls her up like, I finally understand you, crooked Hillary. We're the same. But the biggest revelation about this private server isn't just that it contains the phone calls with Trump and Ukraine. It's that it might contain many more.
The complaint adds that this was, quote, not the first time White House officials used an extra secured server meant for classified and especially sensitive information.
That means calls with other world leaders were set aside, covered up. Who are those other world leaders?
That's right. Who are these other leaders? What are the conversations? We thought this was just a Ukraine story, but that secret server could contain multiple conversations Trump doesn't want anybody to hear. And nobody has access to those calls, so there's no way to find out. Or at least there was no way to find out. Because you see, The Daily Show has a secret spy deep inside the White House, Melania. And thanks to that spy, we've been able to get our hands on a few of those embarrassing calls.
Yeah, this is Angela Merkel.
Angela, if you don't help me win my re-election, I'm gonna tell everyone Hitler was German.
Welcome to Popeyes. May I take your order?
Mr. Popeye, if you don't let me try that new spicy chicken sandwich, I'm gonna declare you a terrorist organization.
Dad, it's my birthday. Just tell me you love me.
I'm too busy.
Come on.
Fine, I love you.
Put this call on the private server. No one can ever know this happened.
Not good, folks.